All right, so hello everyone, good afternoon. We are with Colton Walle with Braunability. Today, I just want to first of all give a thank you for TAA would like to thank everyone for the 2020 conference sponsors, and those people are ADEQ, Auto Safety House, Braunability, who we're talking with today, Kenya State Bus Sales, Common Engines, REI, RWC Group, and the Trust. Their support for this year's virtual platform has allowed us to stand by our commitment to present student transportation information and relevant content to all members. We definitely want to thank you all for joining us today. Again, we have our host, Colton Walle, and I will make you a host, the co-host now, so you'll be able to go ahead and introduce yourself. Give me just a second here.
Okay.
And you are all set. You'll be able to share your screen and everything with us.
Very good. Wiley, thank you. I appreciate the introduction. My name is Colton Walle. I've been in the industry for 15 years. I've been with Braun. You guys are probably familiar with the name Braun versus Braunability for the past 8 years. So before that, I was with Rycon. So I've been in the lift side for 15 years. So thank you for the opportunity. And today, I'd like to go over some of the new products, trends, as well as some new initiatives that we're putting forward into 2020 and beyond. I'd also briefly like to talk about the functions of the lift and the adjustments and where you can make those if and when needed on the wheelchair lift. So at this point, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. It's saying host disabled participant screen sharing. Is there any way to get that to where I could?
At the bottom of your screen, there should be like a little green thing that says share screen.
I did click that and it says host disabled participant screen sharing is what it says.
And you shared, and Wiley, you already did what you were supposed to. There you go.
Okay. Okay. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and jump into my presentation here. Let me know up here to the top. Go ahead and minimize that so I can see. Okay. A lot of you guys have wheelchair lifts in your fleet, so you're probably familiar with the 3 models that we have that we service the school bus industry with, which the first one is the Millennium. As you can see at the end of all these titles up here, the Millennium, Century, and Vista, you'll see a -2 or a 2. That means non-electronic, which means, sorry, I have to keep admitting people in here. -2, which means that it's a non-electronic wheelchair lift, no PC boards. It's all switch state. The Millennium is very similar as a solid platform wheelchair lift to the Century lift, but it has 3 cylinders. And the 3rd cylinder runs underneath the platform, and it's a hydraulic outboard barrier. So what does that mean versus a piston-driven outboard barrier, manual barrier is the Century? What that means is, sorry, it basically, the outboard barrier will come up before the platform leaves the ground. With the Century wheelchair lift, there's no, it's all mechanical, so the barrier comes up as the platform leaves the ground. It's just personal preference in which you want. The Vista wheelchair lift is much like the Century with the mechanical outboard barrier, but it's a split platform. That particular, as you can see, the bus builds on the left side, the Thomas EIC and the Bluebird, you see that there's wheelchair lifts in the back of the bus. Most times that would be a solid wheelchair lift platform in the back. Sometimes if it's a mid lift behind the doors in the front, people will put a split lift wheelchair lift in. For some reason this is not advancing. There we go. Okay. Okay, now we are an international company. We're based out of Winnemac, Indiana. Our headquarters are based out of Carmel, Indiana, which is northern Indianapolis. As you can see here, everyone's probably familiar with the wheelchair lift on the left, which is a Century-2 wheelchair lift. And then if you go from left to right, you have the coach lift, which is an NL500 Van Hool lift. And then as we move towards the center, right, the bottom, you can see a European lift. And what that is, what's the difference between a European lift and a US FMVSS lift is a lot of the bells and whistles are not needed in Europe. So anything from the flashing lights and the buzzer and all that stuff are not applicable over there. And we do quite a few of those in Europe and outside the United States. You see a split platform personal lift at the top, and then you see a motor coach MCI lift, which is an 855 cassette lift on the right side. So that just gives you an idea of the wide gamut of different industries and services we provide for. We do have a new 37-inch wide, sorry, let me try to go back here, I hope. Okay, we do have a new 37-inch wide, people are trying to get in, I apologize, admit all. We do have a 37-inch wide platform now. We had it as an 800-pound wheelchair lift for a long time, and it was a great application for Ford Transit vans for the rear lift because the doors were so wide it would accommodate that. We have gotten a lot of requests in the past to have a 1,000-pound. If you have that wide of a platform, why don't you go ahead and have a 1,000-pound lifting capacity instead of the 800? So we went ahead and did that in the past year. These are the different platforms that we provide with that 37-inch wide platform, 51 as well as 54 right and left side pump, and it can be ordered with a handbell. Okay, so for some reason my screen is not wanting to advance here. There we go. Okay, so I talked about the 1,000-pound lift, and in the past, you know, FMVSS had required back in 2005 when all of these requirements by NHTSA to add to these wheelchair lifts, the buzzers, the bells, all that stuff that made them more complicated, they had said, you know, 600-pound weight limit. We went to 800 pounds at that time, and there was a big request, probably 8-9 years ago for a larger lift, larger capacity lift, because wheelchairs were just bigger. They had batteries on them. They had, you know, more metal, basically making them bigger, as well as the individuals were getting larger. This kind of shows you the trend over the past 6 years in people that are requesting a 1,000-pound lifting capacity. It's up to every 3 out of 10 last year was a 1,000-pound Century. Now the 1,000-pound lift we do not sell on the Millennium platform or the Vista. It's only the Century platform lift. Now this is a lift ID tag. If you have an issue with your lift or you need service or anything from your dealer, make sure that your service group has this available. If they've taken a picture of it to email to their service manager at the dealership, whatever it might be, this will help expedite whatever the issue is for parts, service, or any kind of questions. So you always want to have this, and this is located on the bottom of the vertical arm of the platform lift, any of them, as well as on the inside tower by the pump. There's 2 different places to find these lift ID tags. So it's important to have that information available for the dealer as you're getting service. Something that we're pretty excited about, and this is one of the new initiatives for 2020 with the COVID issue that has affected all of us hitting. Things have slowed down a little bit on the development of this program, but I've had the chance to give input on this and be on this committee. We're excited. We're putting a progressive web app for all Braunability products. And what this is, if you've ever gone to the airport and you have that QR code on your phone to get on the airplane and the beeps and everything, we're going to be putting these on the wheelchair lift. And the nice thing about this is it's going to be all encompassing to that particular product, not just a Braun platform wheelchair lift. If it's a NCL, a Century 919 versus a Millennium 917, whatever it might be, it'll be specific and all encompassing to that particular model. What that's going to do is it's going to give you access to operational videos for that product, manuals, operation manuals, service manuals, any kind of basic maintenance for that, and also tech tips for that product, for that specific product. Now, something else, that's all the first phase of this development, of having this information readily available for you, the customer. But the next step of this would be to have a location to register your product warranty. So this will be nice. You don't have to fill out the card, hope it makes it through the mail to Indiana, all that good stuff. You can just register it online. We have something called the Braunability portal for dealers, for a dealer network. They can do pretty much anything with Braun, RMA work, warranty work, ordering parts, service information, that will have an offshoot page for the customer to type in the warranty registration, hit enter. They'll get an email sent to them and their product's registered just like that. So we're excited about that. Here are the three major safety areas of the lift. I'm going to go through this to give you an idea of the changes in 2005 that NHTSA required we make. The threshold warning sensor. When the threshold barrier is occupied, the lift will continue to operate, but the buzzer will not sound. It's not interlocked into the lift, and it won't stop the lift. It just lets you know, hey, there's somebody up there. There's somebody that might be getting a little bit close to the threshold to fall out of the bus. That's when the light blinks and the buzzer sounds. Okay, now the outboard barrier roll stop. The outer barrier bypasses when it's obstructed but does not alarm. So what that means, if you have a chair, wheels or whatever it might be, and the chair is not centered on the lift, and you start to bring it up and it stops, it's interlocked into the system. That's why we don't have a hand belt, why Braun lifts don't have a hand belt versus our competitor. That's our interlock system versus the interlock safety belt that goes from handrail to handrail. You can order, and it's a free option, you can order a hand belt that's retractable, and it's more of a peace of mind thing, and it will lock in place. You don't have to use it. You can use it. The lift will go up and down if it's engaged or not. But that's our interlock system, is that barrier that will stop if it has weight on it. Same with the inboard barrier. If your chair's not centered, if it's touching the inboard barrier on the far right, and it's not all the way up and locked in place before it leaves the ground, the lift won't go anywhere. So that will tell you, hey, I need to get this child centered on the platform to make sure the lift's ready to function correctly. Okay, you're all familiar with the annoying buzz and light that goes off. That's a threshold alarm system. And basically, if 25 pounds or more pressure is put on that plate on the left side, then that alarm will activate, and the lift will begin to make that beep noise. It has to be an inch below the platform, as you can see it is in the left picture, an inch below bus floor level for it to activate and start making noise at you. Okay, so, okay, we made some lift enhancements, and this is the part where I hope this works. I'm going to show you a video, some new enhancements that we've made to our lower vertical arms. We used to have an open channel. If you remember looking at a wheelchair lift, you would see that this portion right here on the bottom would be open. We closed that, and the reason we did, if you've ever seen an occupant go up with somebody on a wheelchair lift, the lift would move from side to side more. And this video is going to show how we fix that issue. And hopefully, when I play this video, it will have sound. See if I can go here.
Go ahead and push your video and then go to the top to make sure that you share your sound.
Okay, here it is. Okay. Okay, it's the more share sound.
Mm-hmm.
Share computer sound. That's easy enough. Okay, here we go.
Good afternoon, everyone, and we want to thank you for being a part of this presentation here on our...
Is there no sound?
Yeah, there's sound. It's not showing your video. Is it a video or is it just a...
It is a video. Okay, it says shared screen as pod. Okay. How do I unpause that? New share. Let's try this.
There you go.
Okay, all right, I'll start it over. Thanks, Wiley. Here we go.
Okay, no problem.
Good afternoon, everyone, and we want to thank you for being a part of this presentation here on our Millennium Series lift that we have here. The changes that we're going to talk about today actually go for the Millennium, the Century, and all of the Vista lifts. Some of the changes that we're going to talk about today are going to be the boxing of the parallel arms and how that will cut out any side-to-side play and sway on the platform when we have a rider or a user being lifted. The other thing we're going to talk about is actually the side shifting play, the breakover play at vehicle floor level when we bring someone up and back into the vehicle. And then one of the other things that we're going to talk about is the inboard barrier, raised switch, and bracket, and just a little bit of the changes that we've made on some of those features as well. Okay, so if we take a look here, this is a really good shot of the parallel arm that we're talking about. And if we take a look right here, you can see that this new parallel arm is actually completely boxed in. And if we remember what the old ones look like, they were actually just an open channel that ran all the way to the back. So we can see here that we've got a nice enclosed parallel arm that runs all the way to the back, and you can see now the difference here is that we have brackets welded to the boxed in parallel arms. And this is going to be one of the things that aid in taking out the side-to-side play to make that ride more comfortable for that user. So here in this short little video clip, we can see this platform is actually going to depict a lift that has the older designed parallel arms. And what we spoke about earlier was the side-to-side shifting play that we were working to get rid of. And here's a really good example of what we're getting rid of. As you can see, if I have any kind of off-centered load, the platform is going to move dramatically side to side. So here's a look at the platform that we were just standing on. And if we take a look at the side of the platform here, what we're trying to depict is the breakover point with the fold arms at vehicle floor level. We're still working on this lift that has the previously designed parallel arms, so we do not have the boxed parallel arms. If we take a look at the back end of the platform, we can see the inboard barrier is going to drop down to the threshold, and what we are improving with the new design is we're getting rid of the side shift breakover that happens at floor level. So if we take a real close look down the side of the platform here, we'll get a good view of what it looks like with the previous design. So here I am standing on a platform that has the newly designed boxed parallel arms. And as you can see me move side to side, we will see the marked improvement that has been made. So here we are with the platform that has the newly designed boxed in parallel arms. And as we took a look at a minute ago, we could see that the side shifting breakover at vehicle floor level was pretty prominent. Here we're going to show you what it looks like with the new boxed in parallel arm design. One of the other design changes that we talked about on the lifts is actually the inner barrier raised switch and bracket assembly. And you can see on the older style lifts, we used to have the bracket actually mounted to the inner barrier itself. And in this picture right here, this video, you can see that the inner barrier raised bumper is now attached to the inner barrier lever, and that's also mounted to the fold arm assembly. And this bumper is actually concaved. So as this inner barrier starts to raise up, this is going to actually work like a little bit of a gear, and it's just going to cup right over the top of the inner barrier raised switch so we don't crush the switch. So let's take a look at this right now. can see how that action right there, it's nice and smooth. It just comes right up over the switch and everything will work properly as designed. We want to thank you for watching the video today and for also being a valued Braunability customer. We're confident that these design changes will aid in a more user-friendly experience. If you have any questions, please contact your area sales manager.
Okay, so, whoop, what I'm doing there, hit the wrong button. So I guess I need to share screen again, and then I'll go to,
Yes.
okay. So I'll get through these pretty quick. I mean, you know, we just talked about that. I don't want to talk about it again. But that's the parallel arm enhancement right there. He gave a pretty good explanation of what we did and why we did it. Let's try to get this to. Trying to get this to go. Sorry about that. And obviously that you saw how the cup switch provides it's more robust. I mean, to be honest with you, it's just more reliable from what we found out and the change that we made there with the inboard barrier switch. Wiley, how much time do we have? Are we doing okay with time?
You are doing fine. You have about 20 minutes.
Okay. Okay, well, this is a quick operation video just to show the proper operation of the wheelchair lift. I think this is important.
This operational video is supplementary to the instruction provided in the manual and is not a substitute for reading the manual and following its instructions and warnings.
We don't see the video.
What's that?
Don't see the video.
Okay.
There you go. All right, so we do have a question for you from
Yes, yes, sir.
Catherine Martin.
Yes,
Are your platform operation videos available for viewing?
they sure are. If you go to, if you just type in, it's as simple as typing in Braun wheelchair lift operation video. You're going to find that exact.
Okay.
What's that? Let me shut this off. Sorry about that.
No, you're fine.
But yes, they are, to answer your question, they are available. If you just type in as simple as Braunability operational video in YouTube, you're going to find that same exact video. Yes, and they're also, that video is also available at Braunability /commercial, our website, our commercial website as well. So are you seeing the screen now, Wiley?
Oh, go ahead and join. Share your screen again.
Okay. All right, guys, I'm not very good at this.
That's okay.
Okay.
And if we can let one more person in for us.
Yes, I just hit let in. I think I did. Okay? So interior view, you guys are familiar with this. This is standing on the inside of the bus, looking down at the pump right here. As you can see, number one up the top, that red light, that's the Braun warning light. The cycle counter. This is a great thing for your service group at your respective locations to look at to make sure that you're properly maintaining the wheelchair lift. That's a digital cycle count on top of the pump. Okay, the backup pump, you can see 3 right there that you saw in the video with him pumping up. If you've ever done that in 110-degree weather out in Phoenix, I'm sure it's a complete blast. Platform fold adjustment, pressure adjustment is down there, number 4, and we'll talk about that briefly here in a second. This is the exterior view. This is standing outside the bus and looking at the bottom of the pump when the lift is stowed up. The on-off switch right there. With the interlock system of your buses, a lot of people will just leave the on switch on and the interlock shuts off the lift when they close the door, if that makes sense. Number 2, the red cover there, that's the power coming from the battery to the wheelchair lift underneath the bus floor. Number 3 is the interlock system. Okay, that's allowing power from the bus once it's in park. You know, once the doors open, all that good stuff, your drivers have to adhere to make the lift work correctly. The power light, number 4, just says whether or not you have power to the wheelchair lift, that little green light. Number 5 is a handheld connection. Okay, that just screws in, and that's your pendant. That's your controller for making the lift go up and down. Okay, platform bridging switch. This is on this picture right here. We're looking at the bottom of the vertical arm where it meets the platform. And this keeps from what I call the lift doing the taco effect, where when you're deploying the lift and you're bringing it down to ground level and it's on a curb, it will stop the lift before it starts to turn into a taco. Okay, it keeps the platform from lowering after the roll stop opens, such as a curb or a loading dock. It keeps lift occupants safer and the platform level. Okay, at 90 degrees with the vertical arm and the platform. That's what you want. That's what this switch does. It controls, and that bridging switch controls all the down function, deploy of the lift and down. Okay, understanding the lift types, and I'm not too. I'll tell you, I've goofed before and stood there. I'm not too proud to tell you. When I first started, I've done the same thing with these lifts where, overnight, any hydraulic system is going to lose pressure, and when it does, those lift types will slowly come down and grab the lift, so it's not causing damage to your bus doors, right? So.
There's another question.
Yes.
This is from Nancy. So if we have the old hollow arms, should we upgrade with the box in ones?
That's an enhancement. You really don't need to do that. Nancy, that's a great question, but I really wouldn't spend the money. I mean, it still functions and works correctly, and it's great. It was just an enhancement that we made to the lifts, just to, if you're standing still, you're not moving forward. So we're just trying to improve the product. So it still works perfect. It still works great. It just, you need to make sure that you have center weight on that platform going up and down. And like I was saying, I'm not too proud to say in this slide that we're looking at right here, why doesn't this lift work? I stood outside a lift and said exactly that until I realized I had to stow the lift, hit stow, release those latches, and then hit deploy. So that's what those do right there.
Many of us been there. Yeah.
So have I. I'm like, what is wrong with this lift? But that's the lift types right there. They prevent the drifting. They're located outside the arms. And to disengage, you just hit the fold button. It's a safety feature to keep from the lift from rattling around and smacking on the doors going down the road. Okay, and a little overkill, but that just shows you how they work right there. This is a European lift, but I came across this just to kind of show you how they work. Okay, platform fold pressure adjustment. This is an adjustment that only your service group should be making. And I just want to do a brief overview to kind of explain what it is. You want to put, and like we do, as you can see on the left side at our factory in Winnemac, we put 50 pounds right in the middle of the platform. We adjust that blue arrow platform fold adjustment screw until it's barely lifting that 50 pounds, and then we back it off to where it won't lift that 50 pounds. That's where the adjustment's made. You don't want anybody messing with this that's not authorized to do so and hasn't been properly trained by Braun personnel.
Okay, so that brings us to our next question. This is by Teresa Ramirez. Are the directions for mechanics, or will they help drivers in the lifts if the lift stops functioning?
That's for your mechanics.
Okay.
Yeah, it's really for your mechanics, Teresa. You don't want, not that drivers aren't capable. I'm sure a lot of them are very capable, but you just want to make sure that they're authorized and they understand what that does and how it works before you start turning it right and left. Because God forbid, you don't want to flip a young one into a bus on accident. So, okay, the tower micro switch adjustment. So I'm going to talk a little bit about this and what they mean. If you look up here in this picture, it's very small. You can see these tower 1, tower 2, tower 3, 4. Okay, these are, tower 1 is the switch adjustment. It's the floor position to stow. So basically it's unfold. So it's unfold and down. So everything in tower 1 is everything down function of the lift, unfold and down. Tower 2 is exactly the opposite. It's floor position from below floor level. So it's up when the lift is on the ground. This is the adjustments when the lift is on the ground to bring up and then fold the lift into the bus. Tower 3 is the alarm. That's that pressure plate that when you get too close to the edge of the threshold, if you get 25 pounds on it, it starts beeping and buzzing at you and doing the light at you. And then tower 4 is the partial fold switch adjustment that I'll talk a little bit about when the lift is folding up. Is there another question by any chance, Wiley?
No, but we have about 10 minutes left.
Okay, all right. So tower 1, so everything, just so you're aware, when standing inside the bus and looking out, tower 1 and 2 will always be pump side. So you can get a wheelchair lift to the pump on the right side or left side. So tower 1, 2, 3, 4 is not always going to go from right to left. If the pump is on the left side, and this is all reversed, it's going to go 1, 2, 3, 4 from left to right, if that makes sense. Okay, so that's where these are. And as you can see right here, tower 1 is the unfolding down, everything unfolding down. Tower 2, as you can see over here, this is a great representation of what these are when you look at them. These 2 screws right here are where you make the adjustments. So unfolding down, you would just turn that screw a couple times to the right while hitting the unfold. The lift would come out to about a 45 degree and stop while you're still holding down the unfold button. To make that adjustment, turn that tower 1 switch to the left slowly as that lift will, while holding the button down, while that lift will slowly come out until it sets perfectly on the bridge plate with the inboard barrier. Okay. Okay, tower 2 is the up and fold switch. So that's everything opposite. So as the lift comes up off the ground, let's say the lift is sitting on the ground, it's coming up. After that, tower 2 has been turned to the right about 3 counterclockwise, or 3 quarter turns to the right clockwise. It'll stop, and you want to slowly turn that left by holding the up button down until it comes in contact with where the unfold had stopped. If that, hopefully this makes sense. Tower 3 basically is it activates the threshold alarm. And the most important, if you get anything from this, when you look at these tower switches, you're going to notice that tower 4 it shuts off the dual relief at 45 degrees. So basically when the wheelchair lift is at bus 4 level and you're ready to fold it up after the child's off, this will basically, the dual relief, as the lift comes up to a 45 degree angle, it's running and testing for that 50 pounds until it reaches 45 degree stow. Once it reaches 45 degree stow, it tells the system, okay, we're past that point. Now let's do full pump pressure to stow it up. So that, notice that number 4 is backed off. So when you look at that tower switch, it's always going to be backed off, and you don't want someone to go, that doesn't look right, and start moving it out. Okay, so these lifts should always come pre-adjusted from your OEM, from your dealer, who always does a PDI process to make sure that they're correctly adjusted. So number 4 is always going to be backed off, so don't think it's incorrect. Okay, lift interlock jumper plug. You can get this from your dealer. And basically what this is it will jump the power source to the interlock, the white plug right here, from that red 12-volt power source to the interlock, to make sure that you are having a lift issue versus a interlock issue. Okay, and you can receive this from any of your dealers. Kind of getting a lag here on the okay, so here's the inner barrier occupy switch that we talked about a little bit earlier, and that's the lift deploy switch on the left side. And what Jake Despot in the video talked about is the IV occupied switch. Now this is in an older lower vertical arm lift that does not have the boxed parallel arms that we talked about. Okay, so this is just a kind of an open cross section of what you would see within that boxed arm. Okay, hydraulic fluid in the hydraulic system. So basically, the fluid level should be approximately 1 inch below the filler neck. And you want to make sure, it's very important to check the fluid level when the back stroke of the cylinder is on the ground. You want to make sure that the lift is not stowed up, because if you fill it when the lift is all the way stowed up and then you deploy the lift out, then you're going to have a mess on the back of your bus. Okay, so make sure that you always check the fluid level when the bus is on the ground. And here's what fluid to use. It's our part number 3284KS. It's a cold weather fluid, which you guys really don't need to worry about in Arizona. But basically the equivalent of the Exxon Univis HVI 26 hydraulic fluid. So that's a specific hydraulic fluid you want to use. Okay, the platform angle adjustment. So basically what this is if your Century outboard barrier is not deploying correctly as you want it to during deployment on a flat surface, you want to make sure you're testing this on a flat parking lot. There's adjustment screws on the back of the vertical arms. Whatever you do to one side, make sure you do to the other. Something very important to remember, the natural canter of a bus, it always kind of leans a little bit towards the front of the bus, the engine. You want to make sure that looking into the bus, that right side is making contact before the left side. That's correct. Okay, so you want to make sure that those screws are at the same adjustment amount, basically. Is there a question here, Wiley?
Is there, do we have time to leave for any more questions?
We sure do. Yeah, we sure do.
Got about 3 more minutes.
Okay. I'll get through this here pretty quick. And one thing I want to leave you guys with, we have lift training, and I'm going to give you my email address, and I'm sure you can contact a lot of you I know. And this is great. It's free. It's online. It sends your service group through adjustments, through maintenance, all the good stuff that they need to know about their Braun wheelchair lifts. You can contact me. We have free webinars every other Thursday from 1 to 2. I guess that'd be 1 to 2 Eastern time, I guess. So that'd be in the morning for you guys, about 10 o'clock right now. So if you do want to do any of those webinars, just contact me if you would, and I can send you those links. For some reason, our product support group only sends them out quarterly, so I get those every quarter on when the dates are. So kind of jump through some of the other maintenance stuff. I know we're running out of time. Any questions at all that anybody might have?
Just a reminder from my end for you, Colton, for directors out there, when you're purchasing a bus and you're speccing out a special needs bus the way you want it, what works best for your district, remember that you can spec the specific type of lift that you want in your vehicle. So if you do, I mean, you can reach out to Colton and get the specifics on what is going to work best for yours to put in your bid as well. That has been a help for me in my district. So we're across the board with the same type of lifts in all of our vehicles as well for consistency. And then also, Colton, what we like to do for training for students in chair and drivers are going to be dealing with that is we go through the whole process with strapping the wheelchair down, using the lift with the remote, and then we teach all of ours how to use it. You pull the little handle out and they've got to turn it and then they pump it back up. So at any time, it doesn't matter. They know exactly how to use it. We get the groans over the radio that they have to use it. It's like, my lift's broken. Okay, do it manually. And you just, well, you know, you're stuck. It's 40 minutes for someone to get out there. Just do it, bring it back. So those are my tips if they mean anything to anyone. So.
And that's a lot of fun when it's 110 degrees out, right?
113 this week, I think, is what we're supposed to max out at.
Oh,
I'm missing Flagstaff more and more.
I bet, yeah, me too, at 85 degrees in Kansas City. But yeah, absolutely. I mean, you know, the Century lift is probably, you know, everything seems to be trending towards 1,000 pound. If it's not needed, if you don't think you have 1,000 pound need, then I would just, you know, the Millennium's a great lift with the hydraulic barrier if you're in a hillier area. The Century lift is probably 800 pound is probably what we do the most of, if that means anything to anybody.
Well, and in Arizona, minimum standard states that it has to be required minimum 800 pounds. So, and I know Madison Elementary just purchased one for 1,000 pound lift for one of their vehicles. I haven't talked to them to see how that's working out, but I know they purchased the higher capacity one.
Very good. Very good. Any other questions? I really appreciate your guys' time. Hopefully everybody is getting through the COVID things the best they can, and I know we'll come out stronger and better for it. So hang in there, everybody.
All right. Well, we want to just thank you, Colton, for just taking the time out to educate us and make us aware of all the products and the videos. Again, if you have any questions or anything, please capture his email, and we will have this actually on our website again, the TAA website, that you will be able to review it again. So We want to again TAA would like to give special thanks to our 2020 conference sponsors, ADEQ, Auto Safety House, Braunability, who we just spoke with today, Canyon State Bus Sales, Cummins Engine, REI, RWC Group, and the Trust. Their support for this year's virtual platform has allowed us to stand by our commitment to present student transportation information and relevant content to all of our wonderful members that has taken that time out to join us as we've went through these couple of days. It's been awesome. So thank you all again. And Colton, again, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
All righty.
Take care,
Talk to
everybody.
everyone.
Goodbye. Okay, I'm gonna sign off here. Thanks, Wiley. Take care.
Hey, no problem. Good talking with you.